Hi, this is Misha, and in this second part of our AK magazines and pouches video, we're going to be looking at 545 by 39 AK74 mags, and we'll also look at some of the newer kind of oddball mags. Well, first up, we have another East German pouch here, same as the first video, and this has the so-called bakelite, which are fiberglass type mags. These are originally made in 7.62-39 for the AKM, and then when the AK74 was created, they were carried over to it, and they would be produced in Russia for a good number of years up until the early 80s. They're very kind of iconic and classic today, and they kind of bring big money, which is a little funny because for a while no one much wanted them. They were kind of cheap, but then again, you couldn't get guns in 545 very frequently in the late 90s, early 2000s, and the ammo wasn't terribly common either. After that, this is a later model from the 80s Russian mag pouch. It's a little different from the earlier one we looked at. We have Izhmash Plum colored mags. 30 rounds. You'll also find quite a few of these Russian mags with their markings scrubbed off, and some of them even painted black. They are made of a polymer material with metal reinforcements. They're essentially like the bakelites, but instead of using the AG4 fiberglass material, they use more of a modern polymer. To go with the AK74, they also introduced the RPK 74, and it would be issued originally with 45 round bakelite AG4 fiberglass mags. Now, if you notice on an AK74 mag, as opposed to, I mean, in addition to being a little less curved than the AKM AK47, they also have vertical cuts here, one on this side, one on this side. That's to accommodate a stripper clip guide, which just slides over the top. We'll look at one in a minute. So they could top these off with 50 round stripper clips. It's actually, when this is 45 rounds, they needed 3 stripper clips to fill it up. With the RPK74, they never issued a drum. They tried out a few different drum patterns, most famously the so-called pancake drum, but they never went into full production, and they were never issued. So this was the original mag for the RPK 74. More recently, and that was Russian, by the way. More recently, Bulgaria, Circle 10, has been manufacturing this 45 round RPK mag out of the same waffle polymer material as their 7.62-39 polymer mags. Metal reinforcements, metal steel plate, and typical arsenal quality. It's worth noting that for the original RPK, they would make 40 round bakelite mags as well. I just don't have any at the moment. And Arsenal has made 40 round waffle mags too. So they have made a few different mag styles. This is a Romanian 2-pocket mag pouch. We have a spot for a cleaning kit here, a spot for an oiler here. And they would issue these for either 7.62 or 5.45 guns. In it, we have a Romanian 30 round magazine. This would be what they issued with the PA-86, which was the Romanian gun in 5.45. They would always use steel mags in it. For their version of the RPK, known as the PA-93, they would issue a 40-round mag, not a 45, but a 40, and it would also be made of steel. I don't have one of those. They're quite rare. If you run across one, pick it up. So there were some extended steel mags for the for that as well. Moving down, so we have here. This is another Bulgarian pouch, which is a copy of the Russian. We have the brown circle 10 mags. Instead of plum, they tended to do brown. They also did one that was more of a red color. And before doing this video, I looked for my pouch of red color ones, and I couldn't find it. And I remembered after we moved 3 years ago, I didn't remember finding it then, so it's probably in storage somewhere. Hopefully I will find it, because they're kind of neat. Just another Romanian pouch that I stuck these in. And most recently, Arsenal of Bulgaria has done a modern black circle 10. And this is made out of a more modern polymer material. The brown ones here are kind of in between the fiberglass and the polymer. This is a true polymer. It has more of a flex to it and more durable and resistant in the sunlight and that kind of thing. This would be what would ship with the modern arsenals like the SLR 104. And here we have another pouch of Russian mags. And this should have the, yes it does, stripper clip feed in here. Here is the guide. It fits on the back of the mag, like so. If it wants to go on this particular mag, there we go. And then you would take a filled stripper clip. What's neat, this end is spring loaded, so it's closed when you have it full. But when you put it in the guide, it opens it up and locks in, so you just easy feed, and when you're done, kind of interesting. As for Poland, they would do a few different styles of magazine in 5.45. Let's get the right one here. That's the wrong one. Why did I put the right one? Oh, there it is. They would have kind of their own unique pouch. It's similar to the Russian and Bulgarian. It has a large side pocket, and it has belt loops in the back. It's more of a synthetic nylon material, and it has this storage on the side for the bipod, which is issued with the Tantal. Originally for the Tantal, they would issue a 30-round mag, extremely similar to the Romanian 30-round steel 5.45 mag. They would, however, one thing I don't like about this style of pouch, the buttons in between the magazines. And so when you try to punch it with you have to kind of pull it to the side because you don't have a hard back to it. Anyway, that was the first pattern they used. Then they would go, that's the Arsenal. Where are we at here? There it is. It's in a Russian pouch. Then they would go to a polymer mag in the early to mid 90s for the Tantal. It is very similar to the arsenal, as you see, with the only real distinguishing difference being this large circle 10 on the arsenal mag. Quality-wise, they're identical. Now they would issue those in 545 for the Tantal. Now they would go to the Beryl, the WZ.86, which we have quite a long and full video on. When they first adopted the original WZ.86, they would simply use the same late pattern Tantal mag, reconfigured for 5.56 NATO 223, and they would mark it rather clearly right up here. But it's essentially the same mag. Even has essentially the same mold marking down here. They would use these in the late 90s, early 2000s. Then they would try going to a translucent mag in 5.56 for the Beryl. It didn't really work out. It was almost a smoke clear. It had problems with it cracking. So what they ultimately settled upon around 2007, 2008 is the Beryl mag we probably mostly know today. This is the true translucent green mag. But if you notice, it's the same pattern as the black, which is the same pattern as the Tantal. It's just now we're made out of a translucent green material. We also had to get rid of the steel reinforcements up here because of it being clear. That said, these are made of a very modern, durable polymer, and they're cheap enough that when they break in the Polish military, they can easily replace them. Also in the Beryl mag pouch, they have a sectional two-piece cleaning rod. This is because there isn't a way to get a cleaning rod, a full cleaning rod, under the barrel of the Beryl, because it has variable hand guards and whatnot. It's a little tiny pouch this goes in. If I can find it here. There it is. It wants to go in its little pouch. I'll deal with it later. It's being ornery. So those are the Beryl. Now we'll start to kind of move into the more unique and different types of mags. This is a Czech VZ.88 pouch. Now the original Czech VZ.88 fired 7.62 by 39. Same as an AK, but it was in no way, shape, or form an AK. Its mags were very different and in no way interchangeable. Pull the one of these, it's not completely stuck. These mags are made out of an alloy material, very lightweight. We have a bolt hold open device in the back here. That's what this rib is. So they will activate a last round hold open. They have a much more complicated front locking tab. It's more of a T shape compared to the AK. And in the back has a small tab about the same size as an AK. These are very light and surprisingly durable, whereas the Russian alloy mags didn't hold up well and were never adopted. These seem to work really well for the Czechs. And they were relatively inexpensive to produce, plenty durable, and when they wore out, they would just replace them. You have to recall that about militaries. They, service life. They don't expect a mag to last 20 years and thousands of rounds. Things get broke in training and field exercises. As for the Czech Republic's later gun, what is today the 805 Bren, even though the gun itself has nothing to do with the Kalashnikov, its magazine does. This is a later style Czech mag pouch made of canvas. And in it we have a mag that's wanting to fight me. A 30 round magazine for the Bren. Now, when the Bren, it traces its roots back to the LATA program, and we have a whole video on the history of it, but originally the gun was going to be a 5.45 Soviet compliant gun and more of an AK-74 copy. Well, time went on, things changed, the mags hung around. In the end, the Bren mag ended up being kind of a synthesis of the LATA mag rechambered for 5.56 along with the G36 German mag, which itself was kind of inspired by the AK because West Germany and East Germany had been reunified shortly before the G36 was adopted, so there's some similarities there at the magazines. They're kind of rock and lock type mags and the same basic size and shape, so the same mag pouch works. I just found it kind of interesting, that's all. Now, we looked at the Valmet mag in the previous video. Valmet would produce a version of their rifle in 223. And in a certain sense, so would Israel. The Galil is really a copy of the Valmet. So when they made mags for it, they were essentially AK74 mags, but reworked for 223. Here we have one style of pouch. Here we have a slightly newer. This one holds two 35 round mags made of steel. As you can see, the body is kind of, the ribbing and all that is kind of like an AR-15, but the way it locks in, the rock and lock, and the general size and shape is very similar to the AK-74 and the original AKM. There's definitely a connection there. Of course, you have two guns that are for a small caliber based on the AK platform. The other style of pouch here holds 135 down here and 150 here. Much like an RPK 74 mag, it is an extended in 223. Now this holds 50, as I said, not 45 or 40, so it's considerably longer, but it is definitely an AK pattern magazine. Unfortunately, it also tended to monopod when put in the Galil. I definitely find this mag pouch to be one of the most interesting pouches out there. I don't know, just it's kind of different. One big, one little. And to wrap up this video, we thought we would revisit some Russian magazines. These are modern day Molot 45 round nylon polymer mags, just like the modern so-called true black mags for the AK-74M. These are the mag types used for the RPK 74M. Now these are the 45 rounders for my Vepr 1V, which is in 5.56 NATO, which is the RPK 201. But the only difference between this mag and the RPK 74M in 5.45 is the follower. And I've actually got some Russian 5.45 followers I drop in these to use in 5.45 guns. So the bodies are the same. They also do a larger version for 7.62 by 39 for the RPK-M or RPK 203. And this horizontal rib pattern is pretty much ubiquitous through all of Molot's modern production. They're durable, they're quite lightweight, they're easy to load. Otherwise, they're the same dimensions as the fiberglass AG4 type Plum mags and everything else that have been used in the RPK before. Now, getting away from rifles, we have a couple of shotguns to talk about. We have some mags for both the Saiga 12 shotgun and the Vepr 12 shotgun. But let's start with the Saiga 12 since it came out first. There are two main magazines that are produced by the factory for the Saiga, the original Rock and Lock Saiga 12. This is the 5-rounder that most people are familiar with. It is also of the nylon polymer modern construction. 5 rounds of 12 gauge, metal reinforcements. It's a little bit flared out at the bottom, and again it rocks into the gun like a standard AK mag would. This does not have the ability to use a bolt hold open. This is just a generic, I think it's Swedish military pouch, but it holds 3 of these mags well. It's hard to find pouches for these. Now this is a true Russian modern pouch for the Saiga or the Vepr 12. It has leg straps, and it holds two 8-round Saiga mags. Again, these do not have the bolt hold open. Now, newer mags made by Izhmash for the newer Saigas with the bolt hold open mag well will be 10 rounds, or can be, and will have it. Leave this out here. Now the Vepr takes a different type of magazine, although of course it's still based on the AK. There are 3 basic factory sizes. All of these will use the bolt hold open. I don't know why I opened that little pouch. The one that's most commonly encountered in the US is the 5-round. As you see, it has the same horizontal ribbing as the RPK mags. Since this is a straight-in shot with the mag well, it does not have a front locking tab. And since it has a bolt hold open, the follower comes up higher to trip it back here, and it has a tab in the back. Now that's the 5. Most common for the Vepr 12, just as with the Saiga 12, is the 8-round. Same, just bigger, obviously. Same material. And finally, there are some factory 10 rounds for the Vepr 12. I'll send them all up here so you can see the size difference. They're actually pretty all close. See there? So we have 5, 8, and 10. These are more squared off mags than the Saiga. They're also a little heavier. Size-wise, they're identical, except this has a more squared body, and this one has some taper to the sides and flares out at the bottom. Also has these kind of grasping grooves, because again, it's a rock-in mag versus a straight-in. These feel a little more substantial. These are a little bit lighter weight. Both are very good, durable, steel, reinforced where they need to be magazines. They also have basically the same identical base plate. So yeah, magazines for the Russian 12-gauge shotguns based on the Kalashnikov. Well, if you have any questions or comments about these mags or what guns they go in, please post them below. As always, we really appreciate you tuning in. There is a part 1 to this video that looks at the 7.62-39 mags as well, if you haven't watched it already. If you liked the video, we'd appreciate it if you click like. And if you haven't already subscribed, we'd appreciate it if you do that too. Well, this is Misha, and we'll catch you next time.